Hello and welcome back to Late to the Party. I'm Grace Campbell and I'm joined by my good friend Emily Summers. We last week did some answering questions. I've always felt like I have dreamt of being an agony aunt, so maybe that's what is being fulfilled here. And we thought we'd do it again. We got so many amazing messages and submissions from people. And this episode's focus is breakups, which is one of my favorite topics of conversation. Obviously, I've been through some breakups, haven't I?
Yeah, you have.
You've had to see me through some breakup. Well, through just one really bad breakup, to be honest.
Yeah, a really bad one.
I was thinking about it the other day when I broke up with that person.
Yeah.
And I remember it was the summer of it was sometime in like one of the COVID eras.
It was COVID.
And did you come round to Anna's house that day? No, I swear you were there.
Maybe.
I had this really vivid memory of like we all, and this is what I'm so obsessed with, like friendship groups. But like I'd broken up with the person, and then everybody went. I'm sure you were there. We all went to Anna's and we were sat in the garden. I just cried and just smoked so many Vogue cigarettes over and over again. And that was actually when I started smoking. Was that breakup?
It drives you to do crazy things.
Yeah, but breakups are so intense, and I feel like what I get asked a lot, especially whenever I do these like question boxes on Instagram or even at shows, is like, what is the best way to get over someone? And I'm like, babe, I wish I knew, first of all.
And it'd be great if there was just like a cure for it.
It would be so amazing if there was like an injection or a pill, or like you see how like Ozempic is treating people to like not want to eat. I wish there was like an injection that I could get when I'm going through a breakup to like not think about someone ever again, basically.
That would be really, really nice. But unfortunately, they do happen. I do think like your first one is probably like your worst one, because it's a bit like, what the fuck do I do? Like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. My world is going to end. But then they get a bit easier.
They do get easier. I remember Kat Cohen, who has actually been a guest on this podcast, who's an amazing comedian. She had this joke in her first special, and it was like, breakups are really weird because it's like you have a best friend and then they die, and that is what that's what it's like. It's like you have a best friend who like you talk to every day about everything, and then suddenly they're dead and you're not allowed to talk to them, but you know that they exist, you know that they're living. This is the thing that I find so hard about breakups, is you break up with someone, you have shared so much of your life with them, and then you carry on your lives independently and you don't get to access them, but they are alive. So they're not as bad as death because they are still alive, but you don't get to know what's going on in their lives anymore. And I'm so nosy. This is my issue when I break up with people. It's like, even when I'm over someone, I really want to know like what's going on in their lives. Like I bumped into an ex-boyfriend and I was just like happy to see him. He's like, it was no bad blood really.
No.
And I was like, oh, so what's going on in your life? Like asking him loads of questions. And he was like, whoa, like, why are you asking me so many questions? I was like, I just want to know, like, have you got a girlfriend? Like, where are you living? And he hated me. But I'm just really like, obviously nosy. And it's probably my insecurities that want to know what is going on. And like, have you met someone that you've loved as much as me? That's
well, that's
what I want to know.
I mean, that's what you really want to know. That's what you just like for your own ego.
I remember and then we will move on to the dilemmas, but I once bumped into an ex-boyfriend's brother at a party, and he came over and he was like, hey, how are you? And I just straight away was like, has he got a girlfriend? I didn't even say hi back. I was like, has he got a girlfriend? He was like, whoa, nice to see you.
Well, you just have to, you have to find these things out. I mean, some people like, I'm a bit like, I would rather not know. I've never like gone on to like an ex's new girlfriend's Instagram. I like don't do any of that like stalking stuff.
That's amazing self-control. That is amazing.
I think I do have really, really good self-control, because I think I would just rather not know.
But that is good. It's really good to have that insight of like, because it never makes you feel good.
No.
That's the thing. It's the same as looking at an ex's social media. It never does the thing that you think it will in the moment. And I have gotten so much better where I don't do this like nearly as much now, because I know what will happen is I will go and look at stuff, and then actually I'll either just think like, why have I done that? That's made me feel shit. or I miss them. And then it's like so counterintuitive because then now I'm thinking about them. So it is good if you can practice that. But I also completely understand if you are one of those people with a burner account who is stalking everybody left, right, and center. Also, like, I can relate to both of those.
Yeah. I think in the age of Instagram, it's so hard not to. You can even come across it by accident.
Yeah. It's awful.
And it's this horrible like feeling in your.
It's awful. It's awful. And it's like by accident. I hate, this is why I hate social media, but like when you accidentally see like a picture of someone who like broke your heart or are reminded of like a period in life that you don't want to think about, and you're just like fucking like, I don't know, on the bus, and then you're like, oh my God, I didn't want to see that.
Yeah.
So breakups are fucked. So sorry to anyone going through them.
Right. So we've got some breakup stories here, which will make you feel better about your own breakups, I reckon. Ghosted a girl I'd met twice. She rang my work and told them I was a shoplifter and a Nazi.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy. I mean, shoplifter's one thing, because maybe they worked in a shop.
So he ghosted someone. I do remember this was from a boy.
Yeah, he ghosted someone. But he'd only met them twice, he says, but you know.
What the fuck? That is really, really fucked up and unhinged.
Yeah, and maybe you should think about the type of person that you're ghosting.
Yeah, but you don't know who you're ghosting. If you've met someone twice, you don't know them. That's the thing. That's what I always think that, like, when I've ghosted people, which I have done because I actually personally am of the ideology that if you've met someone once, you are allowed to ghost them. I don't believe you owe them like a long essay. I actually think that's worse. It's like sending someone an essay when you've met them once. Yeah. Just ghost them. But lots of people disagree with me on that. But I, having been both the recipient of being ghosted and
the ghosting
and the ghoster, but also having received long essays of someone being like, you know, I've thought about it long and hard. I remember once I got a text
really
from a
like
guy.
you, but
I remember once got a text from a guy and it was like an absolute essay. We'd had like a one night stand and I think I'd like booty called him, and then he sent me this essay of like, I've been really weighing up like the pros and the cons, and I was like, oh my God, fuck off, I don't care. So anyway, that is an insane reaction. But the problem when you're ghosting someone is you don't know what they're like, and you don't know what people are like in the face of rejection as well. But that is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. Right, so I went for a hike with my ex and he said he could push me off the cliff right then and no one would know.
Woof.
Yeah.
That is okay.
That's a red flag.
That's really horrible. That's really horrible. That's really scary because also that's gonna instill the fear of me. I don't want to be on a cliff.
Yeah, literally. Ever again.
Because that also is how lots of men kill their partners, is pushing them off cliff. Seriously.
Come on.
Seriously.
Come on.
That's a really easy way to kill someone, Emily.
That's how Janine killed, what was his name in EastEnders?
Exactly. Bradley?
The one that's in Extras. Barry,
yes. That is how, yeah, exactly.
That's what that always makes me think of.
That's really fucked up.
It's fucked up that your boyfriend is thinking that on a hike with you.
Well, I once had a boyfriend who told me that he wouldn't come to my funeral if I died. And we were together. And he said he wouldn't come to my funeral if I died.
Why? He didn't expand?
He did expand. He was like, I just wouldn't want to be there. I wouldn't want to be there.
God,
and I was like, what? You wouldn't want to go to your girlfriend's funeral? Like if I died?
You need to be there.
That's weird, isn't it? No, he wasn't. He was so unemotional. So he didn't really go into it that way. But he was just like, I wouldn't come. And I was like, I always wanted to die so that like I could prove him wrong. Yeah, fake my death, fake my funeral, and I fucking know that he would come.
Yeah, of course they would. I think like maybe he's just trying to get a rise out of you or something.
Which is the same as that. Okay.
100%.
Next.
Right. I rejected a guy who was a freak and he sent cookies to my house saying, you are a tough cookie.
That's quite cute.
It's quite cute, but would you eat them? I wouldn't.
Yeah, I would eat them.
Really? What if he's poisoned?
What if poisoned them? Oh, fair. Gotta stay so woke now, don't you?
It's true.
Like a good give you a second chance to flirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think it's quite nice. I mean,
I think that's really cute.
She does say he's a freak, so there might
thing
be
is,
other
right,
things on top
do you know,
of the
can I say
cookies.
something? Like, when you break up with someone and then they take it really well, sometimes you just think, oh shit, maybe I should get back with them.
Yeah.
Like, that has happened to me where, like, you want them to, like, I don't know.
You kind of
want them to like
mental.
be really upset and be really hurt, and then they send you cookies. Like, you'd be like, oh my God, maybe it's actually a really good form of manipulation, to be honest.
It's mind games. It's like a double bluff.
It's clever.
Every time I tried to break up with him, he fainted, in quotes. I had to do it 5 times. Imagine if you were trying to break up with someone and every time you were like, sorry, it's not you, it's me. They were like,
every time she broke up with him, he fainted. That is so me. I can't even tell you how me that
I did
is.
like hard relate.
That is so me. I would so just faint if someone broke up with me. I would faint out of shock and disgust. That is so cute. But again, if somebody fainted when I broken up with them, I would be like, I'm in love with you. Like, I'm
you
not breaking up with you.
Really, really love me.
I'm not breaking up with you. That's really funny. Well, I mean, thank God you did eventually break up with him before he like died, or I don't know, got diagnosed with epilepsy, which maybe he has.
It's true. Or he could have narcolepsy.
Yeah. Breakup induced narcolepsy. Someone has asked me, I would love some breakup don'ts. The do's I know, therapy, blah, etc. Breakup don'ts. Okay. Don't message them 700 times and then delete the messages. Don't contact their mum and tell them that you have COVID.
Or any family member.
Yeah. Don't say you're in hospital when you're not.
Yeah.
Don't
make like a drastic life, like don't do like something crazy with your hair. Don't like
I don't know. I think that's when I like really glowed up, was like after every breakup I'll get like
glow up, but don't be like,
procedure.
okay, now I'm gonna cut all my hair off, or like now is the day that I'm gonna try red hair.
Yeah, but I don't know, actually. I don't agree with that, because I feel like that's when you can like maybe have a new identity for a bit, is when you are going through a breakup. It's quite a good way of coping. That's like I changed my looks a lot after one breakup, and then like got lip filler and did like start doing different things.
Well, you can do all the things that you kind of like maybe wanted to do.
Yeah. When you were
with them that you couldn't.
Yeah. But I know what you mean. Like, I think actually, right, okay, when you go through a breakup, don't think that your whole like life is over or catastrophize. I think my best advice, and I wrote a letter to myself last week, and this featured in the letter, is in my 20s, I used to, whenever a relationship would end, I would hate the like grieving and the loss of like, oh, that person was in my life and now they're not in my life anymore, and I hate that feeling. And something I've been much better at telling myself now is like that these people will go, but you never know, they might come back. Like, you might be in these people's lives again. I think don't catastrophize that this person is completely dead to you. Like, if you in a few years want to have a relationship with someone that you like once loved, you can. And like, if it feels right and healthy for you, like, they're not gone forever, they're just like gone for now. That is a really good thing that I wish I'd have known.
Yeah, 100%.
When I was younger.
And like relationships that aren't like black and white, there's a lot of grey area.
Yeah.
I would also probably advise against like sleeping with an ex.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you're trying to get over someone, you shouldn't be having sex with them. Yeah.
If there's like still feelings involved on at least like one side, because I think obviously it's like, it's comfortable to go back and like sleep with an ex, but like you can't, like, we've known people that sleep with their exes for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And that means that you never like truly get over the relationship and like move on with your life.
That is the best don't in a breakup. Don't get with them. Don't get with someone that you're trying to get over. Somebody's asked me this, but it's a good question. I loved your dating podcast series where I went on 28 dates. Yeah. What are some of the main lessons you learned from it? I hate dating. Yeah. And that podcast made me never want to go on a date again. And I honestly barely have.
Yeah. Were they all awful?
Like 25 out of 28 were bad.
Yeah.
And I hated it. And I'm very much of the like Kim Cattrall, I don't want to be anywhere for even a minute that I don't want to be.
100%.
And I had to be on 25 dates and they had to be an hour long. And the problem with the podcast was that this podcast where I had to go on 28 first dates with people, they thought they were genuine dates, which in some ways they were. And I did end up dating someone that I met from that was the last date on that podcast. But when I know if I'm sat opposite someone in a date that I don't like them, I then have to sit and entertain it. And that I can't do because I'm really bad at faking shit.
Well, I think it's just going to be a bad day if you're not into it. Do you know what I mean?
100%. But then loads of people don't pick up on like bad dates. Okay, let's do this one. We are great, but somewhere along the way, I've realised I'm not attracted to him anymore. It's been 4 months like this.
That's a hard one. Do you think you can like become re-attracted to somebody? Or do you
think you can. I think like, okay, so I think you can recreate a spark. I have definitely gotten the ick and then undone it, if that makes sense. Like I've had the ick and then like it's gone.
Yeah.
But that's because I've had to be really brutal and say like, you do these things and I need you to stop doing them if I'm going to be sexually attracted to you. And that's come across as quite harsh. So it's about, if you feel like with this person that you've been with, that could come back. Sometimes I think you know. And I think once you start saying I'm not attracted to this person anymore, that's like a way for you to say, it's like a warning flag.
Yeah.
Like, I actually don't want to be with this person. This is the easiest way for me to communicate this.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just about like having some time apart, maybe like going and staying somewhere else for a few weeks, missing them if you live with them, coming back and then appreciating them in a different way because like, you know, yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it could be something that is actually like changeable.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think like, but it's hard because say for instance, if there's like something that the person you're with does that like makes you feel a bit icked out, sometimes it can sound really mean if you call it out.
Yeah.
And like, I have definitely felt that way in the past, like that I'm coming across as really mean. But it's just that I'm saying like, this makes me feel sick.
I'm so sorry, but everything
like,
you do
the way you eat makes
me feel sick.
And I don't know how to do that. Can you eat?
Examples?
Like the way, smell.
Well, you have to address smell.
Smell, yeah, smell. But smell, it's hard because like it's really hard to say like about smell, isn't it? It's really hard to say like you smell.
Well, I think people get very defensive about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, you know, like when you're in primary school, if you were like, you stink to somebody, that's like...
Well, that's why we're also
quite
traumatized.
cussing.
But I remember when Holly once told me that like I had BO, I was like, oh my God, thank you so much for telling me.
Yeah, I would totally appreciate
I would
if
really
someone
want to
was
know.
like...
Yeah.
Oh, it's... Yeah.
Yeah. But so I feel like in some instances, you can become attracted to someone again. And in some instances, you can't.
Yeah.
And it's just about riding it out and seeing if that comes back.
Yeah, I think it's about you figuring out what it is that's making you unattracted. Is it just you've become unattracted over time, or is it like something specifically they're doing?
Yeah. Okay, this is a really crazy story. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Tell me.
I went out with this guy when I was at school. I was 15 and he was 17. We were on and off like a bloody light switch because he was a fuckboy and I was young and naive and wanted free lifts after he passed his driving test. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Anyway, we broke up and I thought I was finally rid of him as I hadn't heard from him in a few weeks. This was strange as usually he'd get in touch with me to try and get my attention. I was so wrong. I had 2 messages on Facebook one day, one from his sister and one from his friend, about how he, my ex, had been mugged and was in a really bad way. I said, okay, but there's nothing I can do. We're not together anymore. However, the Catholic guilt got to me, so I decided to phone him and ask him if he was okay. More for my own conscience than anything else. Big mistake. He was in the back of the police car and me calling him promoted the police to ask him questions about me. I came home from school the next day to find a card from the police saying they'd been at my house, but I hadn't been home. Obviously, I wasn't at home. I was at school.
Like Royal Mail.
I called them. I And they asked if they could come to my house that evening, which I said no to, as my parents would have gone mental that I was still in touch with my ex. So they came to my school to ask if I had any involvement with the mugging. I'm 5'1" and this guy was 6 foot. I was like, clearly not. Have you seen the size of me? They proceeded to ask if any of my family or friends could have been involved. It was hilarious. One of the policemen was so fit, and the upside was that I got out of maths class to go and talk to them. Anyway, the Catholic guilt continues. I go and see him. He has no signs of being mugged. He still has his wallet, which I got him for Christmas. So I'm thinking, what did they do? He has a scratch on his chest, which I'm 99% sure he did to himself. In conclusion, he made the whole thing up just to get my sympathy and get me back. It did not work.
That is unhinged.
That is so teenage as well.
That is so
teenage. But also, like, it's so teenage to call the police and be like, she's mugged me.
I've been mugged and I think it was my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, it's so... I think it was my 15-year-old ex-girlfriend who mugged me.
Go see her at school.
Yeah. Go and arrest her because she's broken up with me. It's so adorably teenage, but also insane.
What is... Just message them. Next one. I was once dumped to the top of the Eiffel Tower. Had a great time in Paris after that.
As you should, bitch.
Yeah.
I'd love to be dumped in Paris. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the Marais and get pumped by a French man smoking a Marlboro Red.
That's lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah. I would love to be dumped in a foreign country.
As
long as I've got the Airbnb, as long as I'm the one with the access to the Airbnb.
Yeah, 100%.
Dumping someone at the Eiffel Tower is pretty savage though, because it's like you've taken them to a place which is usually associated with like proposals and like declarations of love. And then you're saying, I don't want to see you anymore. That's a pretty mean way to do it.
And you're probably surrounded by couples that are like
Dua Lipa and Callum Turner behind you.
Just dancing.
And you've just been dumped at the Eiffel Tower.
No, that's actually like...
It's awful.
It's like you've gone... I mean, maybe you've taken the lift, but what if you've done all those stairs?
She was at the top of the Eiffel Tower. Is that what we're imagining?
It says at the top of the Eiffel Tower.
At the top of the Eiffel Tower. That is so fun.
Also, like, do you walk back down together, or does one of you take the lift and one of you take the stairs?
I am so curious about like why you would take someone to a place like that. Maybe it's that thing of what is the phrase, like shit sandwich, of like delivering bad news, but we're in a really beautiful location. So maybe it makes up for it because you've always wanted to be at the top of the Eiffel Tower and now we're at the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what the person's logic was. But that is a horrible way to go.
Crazy.
And thank God you can't jump.
And I hope
off the Eiffel Tower.
No, it's so
thank
true.
God it's caged. The theme of this episode is that people are crazy in breakups.
People are. It brings out the worst in people, I think.
My mum always says that you never know someone until you've broken up with them.
Yeah. Have you been watching Housewives, Beverly Hills?
No, but what, PK?
Well, like all of them are just like in Beverly Hills and Potomac at the moment. Some are going through like new divorcing, and they're like, both of them are like, oh, I know my ex, he wouldn't do anything to hurt me, and all of them are like, you do not know until you are with your lawyers in that room with them.
100%.
You do not know what they are like.
100%. That's why there's not much romance in romance, because if you think about like the admin and the nitty gritty of like, Chris said this thing to me the other day where he was like, marrying someone is like going into business with them.
Yeah.
Would you go into business with like anyone, like most people in your life? Like, so why would you want to go into business? Like, commit all your finances, like legally bind yourself to someone that you can't ever fully trust.
No, and you don't really know what they're like.
But I do always think that, and that's why I've had some really like pleasant ends of relationships with people, and then some really, really horrific ones. And I'm like this thing my mum has always said is like you always see what people are really like when you're breaking up with them, and it's a shame that you don't get to see that until the end, so you didn't know that about them.
Yeah,
but breakups bring out the worst in people.
They do,
myself included, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. I think we've all been in dark places.
Yeah. But so if you're going through a breakup, just keep sending us dilemmas. We will answer them soon. I hope you're okay. Don't have sex with your ex. don't text her. Try not to text your ex. Try not to go on your ex's Instagram. Try not to stalk the people that your ex may or may not be dating. Chances are they're not dating that person that they followed last week, but I understand if your mind is spiraling. Get off your phone, go for a walk, hang out with your friends, and I don't know, get under some cold water.